Good evening and welcome to the Monday, December 8th Maplewood City Council meeting. I want to make sure that I invite all of you to the Rice Larpenter warm-up. It'll happen on Saturday, which if you've been watching the weather, is projected to be -1, I think. So it really is going to be the Rice Larpenter warm-up. There will be some food vendors. One of the things that I always really appreciate is that there will be a winter clothing exchange. So there will be new coats, some gently used coats, mittens, hats, scarves, boots, and they're there for the taking. So if you have something that you would like to donate or you need something for the winter, you're welcome to come and take it. Please come and join us at the winter warm-up. I have to say that one of the highlights is always that there are some llamas. They wear funny little Christmas beanies, but they're there in the parking lot, and it's really kind of fun. There'll be some hot cocoa. There will be some of those portable fireplaces out there, so that it'll be right at the corner of Rice and Larpenter in the parking lot, so that you can stay warm. And as long as it's not raining like it did last year and then it froze, and we had to end things early because it got to be kind of dangerous for everybody to drive home. But this year, it's only going to be -1. What's that? So come on out for the warm-up. It should be a fun event. And please join us. I know that I'm trying to get some of the council members to join us. Mr. Sable is going to be out there, so please plan on joining us for that. We have one more holiday event coming up. December 20th, we have the Santa Parade. Our Public Safety Department does a fabulous job with our fire trucks and our police cars going around to different locations in our city and handing out candy and fun things to all the kids. And I've heard that Mr. and Mrs. Santa Claus are going to be there, and I think the Grinch will make an appearance too this year. So that is another fun event. You can look on our website and you can see the locations for the Santa Parade. A couple of fun things coming up as we finish out the year. This is our last council meeting of the year. And so we're moving quickly towards 2026. So with that, let us start with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. City Clerk Sint, would you do the roll call for us, please?
Councilmember Cave.
Here.
Councilmember Juniman.
Here.
Councilmember Lee.
Present.
Councilmember Villavicencio.
Here.
Mayor Abrams.
I'm here as well. Thank you very much. Council members, we have an agenda. Would someone like to make a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Cave, seconded by Juniman, the motion to approve the agenda. Councilmember Lee, did you want to add something?
I did for council presentation, Unison Restaurant and Banquet.
Okay. And I will add a letter that I received from a resident concerning a potential, a suggestion concerning a pet store ordinance that I want to talk to council about. Any other things, any other additions? Okay, hearing none, then all those in favor of our agenda signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Next, we have approval of the minutes for our November 24th City Council workshop. Would someone like to make that motion?
So move.
Second.
Moved by Lee, seconded by Juniman, the motion to approve the November 24th, 2025 City Council workshop minutes. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. We have one more approval concerning council meeting minutes, the November 24th, 2025 City Council meeting minutes. Would someone like to make that motion?
I move approval.
Second.
Moved by Juniman, seconded by Cave, the approval of the November 24th, 2025 City Council meeting minutes. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Next, we have administrative presentations. Council calendar update. Mr. Sable, sorry, I took some of your.
No, that's all right. Thank you, Mayor and council members.
Yes.
I'm not going to talk about community events other than to just say winter warm-up on Saturday and Santa Parade on Saturday, December 20th. Just want to forecast there's a 5-week gap for the next council meeting. So the first meeting in January will be January 12th. We will have our traditional council boards, appointments to boards, commissions, and miscellaneous groups. In terms of work session items, we're going to have a conversation about Oak Wilt. It's working ahead for in anticipation of next year. Also do a review of a charitable gambling policy in February, along with just a short discussion on street improvement and assessment rates. Nothing pressing on those ones, just anticipated something that potentially will be a future need. And then we will also then on February 23rd be talking about our climate mitigation plan finally and thankfully. So with that, I'll stand for any questions.
Any questions or comments from Mr. Sable? Okay, seeing none, then moving on to council presentations. Councilmember Lee.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to take a quick moment to give a shout out to Unison Restaurant and Banquet over on White Bear Avenue there. On November 27th, getting all my dates and holidays mixed up. On Thanksgiving, they were going to give out 500 hot meals. They had a really good long line that day and ended up giving over 1,000 hot meals that day. So it was a really cool community event that they did. So thank you to Unison Restaurant and Banquet. I did not get to attend because I had a lot of family function, but the meals definitely looked really good. So thank you for your commitment to our community.
Thank you for that. Council members, I received a letter from a resident of Maplewood, Jan Durwa. I'm going to pass out the letter. I've heard about this, and maybe some of you have seen this on the news as well. There are some cities that have adopted a pet store ordinance. It is seen as a preventive measure to protect animals as well as to protect consumers. And I think the big concern is having to do with selling dogs and cats that are sourced from puppy mill operations. According to the resident, and I can't confirm this, 15 cities in Minnesota have passed this legislation, 6 of those just this year. But we have a resident who is asking us about this. Now, I am not aware that I don't believe we have any pet stores in Maplewood. But it certainly is something that we've been asked, a resident is interested in this. I would suggest that we ask staff to do some research on it, to find out what other cities are doing. I don't know any of the specifics. Here's what I know is just included in the letter, and you've got a copy of it. But I know we don't need to vote on this, but if this is, I would suggest that we ask staff to look into this, to do some research, find out who has adopted something that's similar, and see if that's something that we think would fit in Maplewood. So council members, I'm going to just ask your thoughts, because when we do this, when we bring something forward, it requires, a majority of the council to move forward. And this would be to do the staff research. So your thoughts, council members? Councilmember Cave.
Sure, I don't mind looking into it, just as long as it's not a deep dive and a lot of staff time, that we keep it to the minimum with this. But
I think it's pretty basic. There's
Yeah.
15 cities, and, it's figuring out. I think one of the cities was identified. I think I just saw that on the news. I think it was Blaine that just adopted something like this.
Yes.
Councilmember Juniman. Okay?
Yes, thank you, Chad, for sending this. I'd be interested to learn more about what this entails, too.
Okay. Councilmember Villavicencio?
Same. I know we have PetSmart, but I don't know, I think I don't know what they sell there, but.
I don't think they sell animals.
I haven't been in there in a long time. Fish is what I remember.
Reptiles.
I don't know, but we'll find out.
Madam Mayor, members of the council, we do have 2 larger box retailers that do have dogs, cats, as well as some reptiles, birds, so forth. When it comes to dogs and cats, they work in partnership with other agencies, nonprofits, so it's not for profit, and they usually more commonly, what we're seeing now is they're bringing them in like for an afternoon. The particular agency, or I should say the nonprofit, will come in with maybe 4 dogs, and they will host them in their area where they do training within the retail operation, and then they leave again with them. The cats, they do have some cats, but yes, we're happy to take a look at that and see what other communities are doing and seeing if there isn't something that makes sense for Maplewood.
Okay.
We'll come back to you with it in the next couple months.
Thank you. Councilmember Lee.
Thank you, Mayor. I just had a quick comment on that. I think the pet industry itself is it's a business itself too. So I think the biggest concern that I would have is then the puppy mill and the kitten mill. So I know we have fish stores and other entities in here, and I know at the mall there's I don't know if that's the store you're referencing, but they do bring in nonprofit pets, dogs, and they help adopt out dogs that are in facilities. So I think it's important to do that kind of work versus like a retail puppy shop. So.
Right.
Yeah.
And from my understanding of the letter, and I know you haven't had a chance to read
Yeah.
it fully, but my understanding is that that's what they're concerned about is the puppy mill situation, not the adoption clinic kind of thing. But staff can certainly learn more about that. So thank you very much for that. We have no other council presentations. We have a resolution accepting donation from Beaver Lake. This is Chief Biederman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. It feels like we just went to council with this, and the year went by really fast. So this is becoming a yearly thing that we're really looking forward to every year, and so this year is no exception for Maplewood Public Safety. We've received 2 donations this year, in which the Maplewood Public Safety staff will be the pass-through, and the community is really the beneficiary of these gift cards. So from Beaver Lake Lutheran Church, $1,700 in gift cards, and then from Calvary Church, a very nice $5,000 donation of gift cards. As a reminder, that'll be giving out to police and fire staff, as well as our embedded social worker. They're going to have the most likelihood of coming across families in need during the holidays and throughout the year, whether it's our unsheltered population or, in the case of the fire department, people whose houses may be burnt down and they're have to locate somewhere else. These donations really can get them through the next day. So we look forward to this, and as always, we always bring back some stories to the council, so we look forward to that as well.
Thank you very much. Council members, we need to, we have 2 motions. One is for Beaver Lake Lutheran, and the other one is for Calvary Church. Would someone like, let's do Beaver Lake first. Would someone like to make that motion?
I move to approve the resolution accepting the donation from Beaver Lake Lutheran Church.
Moved by Juniman, seconded by Cave, the resolution accepting donation from Beaver Lake Lutheran Church. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Next, we have the motion from Calvary Church. Would someone like to make that motion?
Motion to approve the resolution accepting the donation from Calvary Church.
Second.
Moved by Lee, seconded by Juniman, the motion to accept the resolution accepting donation from Calvary Church. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. That motion, any opposed? That motion carries. Thank you, Beaver Lake Lutheran Church, and thank you, Calvary Church. Very generous donations, and I think that they will go a long way to help those in need in our community. So thank you for that. Moving on, we have our consent agenda. Would someone like to make a motion there?
I'd like to move consent agenda items G 1 through 11.
Second.
Moved by Cave, seconded by Lee. Consent agenda items G 1 through 11. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? That motion carries. Moving on to public hearings, we have a discussion concerning our truth and taxation discussion tonight and our levy. Mr. Rube, this is your topic.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. May I get the slide deck? Thank you. So tonight we'll be discussing the 2026 budget, the 2026 to 2030 Capital Improvement Plan, or CIP, the 2026 levy, 2026 EDA levy, 2026 EDA budget, and then holding the public hearing. The budget and CIP process kicked off back in May of 2025. We discussed it all year long, but we actually had a formal kickoff in May. And then tonight we are looking for council to adopt it. Council and staff have provided more transparency than ever and more engagement than ever. And that's been through handouts that we've given at different events, a dedicated budget website, engaging with residents in the community at the fire station open house, as well as the Friday fireworks event, and then having our online budget survey. We've, in addition to that, had two workshops with public comment, and then department presentations that highlighted the current year's successes and challenges, as well as looking towards the future on what the challenges and what the future outlook is. So starting off with the budget and tax levy, the total 2026 budget is $87,998,337, which is an increase of $10,186,918. There's several different categories that make up all the different funds, but some of the biggest ones are the general fund with the $2.3 million, and that covers general fund wages, are some of the most significant impacts, contractual services, internal charges, and supplies and equipment. The special revenue funds, the biggest portion of that is the EDA levy and the EDA budget. The capital projects is mainly street projects. The 2025 street project was $9 million. The 2026 street project will be 11.9, so $2.9 million more. For the enterprise fund, the majority of it has to do with the ambulance fund and operation, as well as the additional staff. And then we have internal services, which would cover some public works equipment, as well as IT subscriptions equipment, and then other inflationary impacts. For the 2026 tax levy, staff is requesting a 8.48% increase, which is a almost $2.7 million increase. And the levy would be $34,522,856. What changed in the levy from the prior year? $1,711,000 goes towards payroll for the general fund. So that's the most significant. That's 49% of the actual increases that we're seeing. Ambulance fund operations is $734,000, about 21% of those increases. Some other areas are contractual services, which has to do with dispatching fees, legal fees, audit fees, and more. Internal service charges, adding election equipment, just something new that we'll have as a one-time purchase in 2026. Capital improvement projects, part of that is equipment and different capital projects for buildings, as well as public safety vehicles. And then commodities, supplies, $60,000 for the MCC capital fund. And then there was a reduction in our debt payments of $503,000. That's just some debt that has fallen off in other areas that has dropped down a little bit. An increase in projected revenue, and then a decrease in ambulance capital. In 2026, staff is proposing the following positions. There's a sergeant and evidence and records specialist that is based off of the police department staffing study. Park maintenance worker who would start mid-year to offset some of the cost. Public works maintenance worker, which would be split between the general fund and two enterprise funds. A data analyst, which would be split between fire and HR. A full firefighter paramedic, as well as 6 firefighter paramedics that are part of the SAFER grant. With the SAFER grant, as a reminder, the city is responsible for 25% of the costs for the first year, 25% for the second year, 65% for the third year. And by 2029, the city would be responsible for 100% of those wages. The estimated property tax impact on the city levy for a median home value, which increased 3.7%, going from $340,800 to $353,300, the impact would be about $146 per year, or $2.81 per week. The property tax bill is split up into 4 different categories. The biggest category is the county at 35.23%, and the city at 35.16%, and then school district, and then the special districts. This chart shows the increases based off of the school districts. And so you can see that the increases for the county and the city and other are all pretty standard. The school districts is where it kind of varies a little bit. Looking at District 622 has the lowest increase, and those in Districts 623 have the highest increase. The tax levy history over the last 10 years averaged a 5.8% increase per year. The high was 12.49, and the low was 0. This chart just shows the property tax levy increases throughout all the cities in Ramsey County. As you can see, Maplewood's right there at 41.5% over a 5-year period, which is right in the middle, 9 above, 9 under us. The tax capacity history for the city, as you can see, has increased 5.41% over the 10-year period. It's influenced by inflationary factors, the wealth in the city and the community, city expenditures, the economy, but it is the maximum tax revenue that can be collected. For fiscal disparities, for the history, over the last 10 years, it has risen 6.81%. How that kind of plays out is from 2025 to 2026, we received an increase of $379,000. That increase actually lowered the cost to the residents by $22. I'll show a little bit more detail on the next page, but it helps reduce the levy that has to go out to the residents, and then it ends up helping them a little bit more. The tax capacity rate over the last 10 years has increased 0.62%. I'll just mention with that, that the tax rate has to do with what taxes are actually put back onto the properties, and it ends up dictating what the tax burden is to each property. So overall, this kind of sums it all up. So the tax levy for the city for 2026 is a $34.5 million. They actually take off the $4.6 million to figure out what actually goes back to the residents. So it's $29.9 million is what's proportioned back to the property owners. For the levy increase for the city as proposed is 8.48%. The average in Ramsey County is 9.4%, and the median is 9%. Again, just wanted to highlight this again as we take a look at it. With that 8.48%, we're at 41.5% over the 5-year period, with some cities as low as 25.5% and as high as 79.7%. For the capital improvement plan for 2026 to 2030, the total expenditures for that period, $66,399,550. The majority of that for that 5-year period is going towards streets at $48.3 million, or about 73%. And then looking at the next highest category is equipment at $10.67 million, or 16%. Looking just at 2026, out of the $19 million, 12.6 million, or 66%, is going towards streets, and then $2.9 million, or 15%, is going towards parks. These next two slides break down what is included in the overall $19 million. As I mentioned, the election equipment for $210,000, that is part of a levy. The Gladstone redevelopment is based off of issuing debt if we decide to move forward with it. In the middle of this section is the Lakes Link trails, Hazelwood Park, picnic shelters, and then the Nature Center. All of those would be funded from the park fund. And then Harvest Park would be funded by debt, so about $1.2 million for that. Squad replacement is based off of the levy and is included. On this next page, we have the majority of the ones that say units on them are all fleet-based for public works, so those come out of the fleet fund. The street fund is a mix between debt, different enterprise funds, the street revitalization fund, as well as contributions from other organizations or entities. And then public works site paving would come from the SRF fund, and then municipal facility upgrades is part of the levy already. There are no updates to the financial policies. For the 2026 EDA and tax levy, we discussed this earlier in the EDA meeting, but we're proposing the tax levy of $636,000, which is $37 per year for that median valued home, or 71 cents per week. The other category for LAHA is the local affordable housing aid, and that's a special sales tax that ends up getting distributed back to the cities. The $587,000 is what we received in 2025 and what we anticipate receiving in 2026. Oops. Sorry, I didn't realize I didn't have it on the right page. For the EDA expenditures, we have $200,000 as a placeholder for wages. If we are able to get some projects off the ground, we can have staff allocated to help with those projects. Professional services, the $170,000. So if we do have the opportunity to start some of these projects, our hope is to get grants that would be revenue to offset some of these expenditures, but we'd have $170,000 allocated there. The interest payment of $83,000 is based off of interfund loan from the sanitary sewer fund from several years back. And then the capital outlay of $221,000, that is based off of the LAHA funds that we received in 2024 that we need to have committed by the end of 2027 and spent by the end of 2028. So the property tax levy, as mentioned before, is $636,000. Again, for a median valued home, it's about $37 per year. I'd like to just show additional information based off of from the county that we've received. So with the county, we have been seeing increases in the residential properties, and the reason being is across the whole county, we can see that apartments, the value of the properties, apartment properties, has decreased 2.98%. Commercial properties has decreased 1.83%, where residential properties have increased on average 5.64%. So that's causing a shift from the apartments and commercial buildings over to the residential. This slide shows the tax rates when it comes to the 7-county metro area. Unfortunately, Ramsey County is the highest at 47.5, just meaning more of it is put back onto the taxpayers. Part of that is that we have less commercial property than some of the other areas. Most of the cities in Ramsey County are fully built out, so there's not a whole lot of housing development. However, the ponds at Battle Creek will be a great addition to the city and to the county. And then part of it also has to do with the fact that the values of some of the St. Paul properties have decreased, and that ultimately puts it back onto everybody else in the county. So we had Ramsey County was the highest tax rate, but on the flip side, we have the lowest average market value for residential properties at $315,400. So as we do each year, we like to provide resources to homeowners. So one of the things that Ramsey County would like all residents to know, and we like to pass this information on, is just to make sure that their homes are homestead. So if they are not, they can fill out an application by December 31st of 2025. That ultimately increases or gives them an exclusion, brings down the value of their property for tax purposes, and then they have a smaller allocation of the levy. The state tax refunds, which I'll discuss a little bit more on the next slide. The senior property tax deferral for homeowners 65 or older, and then appeals as well. Appeals can be done with the courts by April 30th of 2026. I have received phone calls from residents saying, well, my property taxes have gone up. I haven't done anything to my house over the last year. And the best we can do, because we don't, from the city side, we do not assess, we don't appraise the homes. It is all based off of the county. So we defer them back to the county so they can talk to them about having their houses reassessed or file a petition. With the state, the homeowner homestead credit refund, there's two different refunds for regular if they've lived in the home on or before January 2nd, 2025. and if their household income was less than $139,000 in 2024. And then there's a special refund if you own the house and if your house increased over 12% from 24 to 25, and the net property tax increase was at least $100. So people are aware of how the homestead credit works, or exclusion. The exclusion reduces the taxable market value of the property, and it also ends up decreasing the overall taxes allocated to that property. The maximum exclusion is $38,000, and it reduces from there based off of the value of the house. Once the house gets to be at $517,200, the homestead exclusion goes away. And I wanted to include this slide from the Department of Revenue as well. It's just a good visual of how the exclusions work. So for council tonight, staff is asking and recommending that council adopts the 2026 budget at $87,998,337. Adopt the 2026 financial management policies. Adopt the 2026 to 2030 capital improvement plan totaling $66,399,550. I would like to mention in there, by approving this capital improvement plan at $66 million does not give staff authorization just to go spend the money. They still have to come back and get authorization. So it's just acknowledging that we have a plan in place, that we're looking at things 5 years out, but staff will bring that back as they make those purchases and before they make those purchases. And then we're asking council to adopt the 2026 levy at $34,522,856, which is an increase of 8.48% over the prior year. And then separately adopting the 2026 EDA budget and the 2026 EDA levy at $636,000. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Rube. And I want to thank staff for all of the hard work. The council has been talking with staff since May, I think, about the budget. And I will say that this is pretty much close to a no-frills budget. We aren't adding lots of bells and whistles. Wages increase, the cost of running the city increases, the cost of the asphalt that we put down on the roads increases. And so we need to accommodate all of that, and we need to be very intentional. And I think the council has done a very good job. We've asked a lot of really good questions of staff, but you have worked with us and helped us to understand the budget. One of the things that we did talk about, we're at 8.48%, and I have to say this is not a good time for anybody to be talking about increasing taxes, but it is the reality of where we are. One of the things that we did talk about was maybe shaving this down so that we could get into the 7% increase instead of being up at the 8.48% increase. And, there is some comfort in when you look at us compared to the other cities in Ramsey County, we're pretty much in the middle or closer to the lower end, especially when you look at, taxes in Ramsey County proposed for 2026 are ranging from 3.8% in Falcon Heights. Arden Hills is projecting they're proposing an 18.32% tax levy increase, and we're at 8.48. But can you, in one of the things I wanted to talk about with council and with staff is we had talked at one point about maybe trying to shave this down, and we don't want to reduce services because excellence in services is one of our priorities. But I know I've talked with Mr. Sable today, talked with him before, about what we could do to maybe roll that back a little bit. Any kind of relief, I think, for our homeowners would be welcome because there are so many other increases, including Ramsey County, including the school districts. And when you add all that together, that can be pretty overwhelming. So Can you explain to the council what are some things that we could do without reducing services to get this number back into the 7%?
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. Staff did take a look at this today, so I added an extra slide on here for this discussion. There are two different options that I provided here. There are some of the same items are in each category, so it's just changing the amount and adding things in here. So the first option would be to reduce the building capital by $73,000, reducing the MCC capital by $60,000, fire station capital $20,000, and then tree removal services for $20,000. That totals $173,000. That decrease would bring us from 8.48 to 7.94%, and it would save the median home value about $10 annually. However, I did take a look at some other properties that were in the $600,000 range and one that was over $1 million, and it does have a little bit more significant decrease for them as well, which is good. Another option, same $173,000, but delaying some of the hiring that we have planned out. And that should save about $60,000, and that's staggering it throughout the year. Reducing the MCC capital by $50,000 versus the $60,000, the building capital $47,000 versus $73,000, and then finding other areas of fees for services if we can, just chipping away at some of it to reduce a little bit by about $16,000. So that'd be $173,000 as well. Again, so there's two different options. It's not, you don't have to pick one or the other. If council would like to direct us, staff, to set it at a certain level, whether it's 7.99, 7.94, whatever it might be, or ask us to cut 150,000 or 173,000, whatever it might be, we'd be happy to take that. We just need direction from you. And then we do need to finalize it tonight so we can get to the county. But we will take your input and rearrange the budget as needed.
Thank you for that, and I appreciate you putting this together. I think any little bit that we can do to tighten up the budget a little bit. If I was looking between option 1 and option 2, I'm more inclined for option 2. Reducing tree removal services. We have ash borer trees that are diseased, and those need to be taken care of. Pretty soon they will be safety hazards. We know because we're looking ahead at some of the things we're going to be talking about in 2026, and oak wilt is now going to be a problem, and so we need to be projecting that. I guess I would rather reduce fees for services than if you're looking at just at 4 different things that we could do. But those are my thoughts. I would feel much more comfortable if we were down in the 7s. Council members, what are your thoughts on this? Any kind of help that we can give to our residents? Councilmember Cave.
I appreciate it, Joe, that you listened and you came up with some solutions for us here. I do like the 7.94%. I don't know, I mean, there's certain things on here I don't know if we can mix and match, and if you need the definitive today, because then I think we need to talk, because delay hire, it all depends on if we're talking essential employees or we're talking ones that, I don't want to do an essential employee and leave us shorthanded, police or fire, but if it's, so it all depends on who that would be.
Let's get an answer for that, Mr. Sable.
Oh.
You were,
Thank you, Mayor and Council members. I think if the council's direction is to lower the levy to a certain percentage point, we would be able to, I think what Finance Director Rube put forward is sort of a range of options. I look at these as a menu. If the request is to bring that number down 173,000, we may choose some from option 1 and some from option 2. But if we land at that specific number, I think that gives us A, the clarity that you're trying to outline, and then B, gives us the flexibility to manage it
Okay.
based on what we have. Because I'll just say, I'll say that the Community Center Capital Fund is probably, it's listed in both of those, and one at 60,000 and one at 50,000. If the direction is to go down, we would manage that number in our partnership with the YMCA as well. So I think if you give clarity on a number, we'll have some flexibility on reductions.
thank you. Councilmember Cave, are you done?
For now, yep.
Okay. I'm
Thank
sorry,
you.
I did not see who pushed their button first. Councilmember Lee.
Thank you, Mayor. Looking at these two options, I think I'm torn, but I'm concerned about our capital, building capital, MCC capital. We have run into this issue. I mean, this year we've talked a lot about the Maplewood Community Center because we're not preparing for our buildings and not prepping for the future. So now our Maplewood Community Center has a $20 million bill because we have not been preparing for it. So I would be inclined to pulling those off. The reality is we're in the business of service. We are in the business of people, and I think. Does it make sense to reduce it? I think we've had a really tough, long conversation this year as a council, and these are the items that are really important for our city. So for me, anything that we can do to help reduce the burden to our constituents, I would support. But I look at these items and I see them all as essential items, things that we have to do to prepare our city so that way we can better provide the services to our constituents. But I think what's important for me is if we are going to move as a council to make a decision tonight to reduce this levy by 0.54%, I would love to hear from our constituents tonight and what some of your thoughts are in this particular item. I think that'll help me make a decision tonight if we're going to be reducing that, which option our constituents would like, or if they would prefer to leave it as it is, because we are in the business of service. So I think that'll be good tonight.
Thank you. Councilmember Villavicencio.
I don't think we can discuss anything like this without sometimes getting those stomach aches, right? And I know I get them when we talk about this amount of money and having to try to make these difficult decisions. I agree with you, Mayor, around the tree removal services. I think we need to keep that intact. I think that's really important to our community. And delaying our hire dates. Like Councilmember Lee said, that taking care of humans is important to us in Maplewood, and I think that it's important in this era that we're in that we keep it affordable for our residents. So I'm also in favor of figuring out a way to reduce the rate.
Thank you. Councilmember Juniman.
It's wonderful to say that we want to reduce the rate, but when you start looking at what you're going to reduce, it's not quite so easy. I agree with Councilmember Lee about, we've just been through this conversation about reducing the MCC capital and the capital on our other buildings. We were already dealing with, that can's been kicked down the road for a long time, since long before most of us were even here. So I don't know that it's wise to do a lot of that. I guess I would want to know, reducing building capital, what does that mean? In option one, we have reducing the fire station capital, and that's not something we want to do. I don't think we just discussed that we don't have anything put away for those 2 fire stations. So you can't, if you start kicking that can down the road again, it's going to just come back to hit us. We aren't, in the long run, you don't save when you do that. So I'm really torn about how we would do this. I understand, but I don't know how we're not between a rock and a hard place when you talk about building capital.
Well, and there is another, Mr. Sable, go ahead.
I was just going to say, thank you, Mayor and council members. I think I can appreciate the conversation that you're having, because it was the conversation that we had at the staff level too, of trying to find the appropriate balance, because we get service demand requests. We know that, if the roof leaks, you have to fix it. If the floor floods in the community center, you've got to fix it. There are other potential tools that we can do. We can consider, debt service options. We can look at a larger construction project that would be potentially paid for by sales tax dollars at the community center. So I'm less worried about the community center capital fund, because there's a broader conversation that can happen next year. So that, I think again, if I can just share, giving a targeted amount gives us the ability to manage it well. These were options that were put together very quickly this morning about ways that we could do it quickly. I'm hearing, the conversation about the value of tree removal services is very important, and so we can certainly massage that. And I'm less worried about the capital when we know that there's a broader conversation or other tools that are available to us. And so I'll just offer them. I'm reasonably confident we can manage through that in the short run.
Thank you. I don't see any other lights on. Any other questions for Mr. Rube?
Thank you.
Thanks. Then we are going to move to the public hearing. Thank you. Okay, looks like we have 8 people that are signed up to speak at the public hearing. I'm going to open up the public hearing concerning, this is our truth in taxation discussion. The first person on the list is Dave, I hope I say your name right, Schelling? I think that's what it is.
Just call me Joe Schmo. That's good.
That would be easier to say.
Everybody called me Joe Schmo.
Okay, thank you.
Two
We have a timer set for 3 minutes.
minutes, okay.
What we'll do is if there are any questions or comments that come up, we don't want to interrupt your time. So you'll have your full 3 minutes. When we go through all of the 8 people who want to speak, and then I close the public hearing, and then we will have further discussion, and we'll ask questions of staff. That's the appropriate time, but we want to give you your full time. So, Joe Schmo, welcome.
I just have a question, but I'll start off with this. Years ago, I bought a house, Maplewood. I'm single now, so I bought a small house. Fixed it up, 1,000 square feet, plus the garage, single garage. You know what the taxes on that house is now? Over $4,200 on a 1,000-foot square house. That's outrageous. And I have called the assessors, and the assessor, he said can't do anything about it. So he put it on to somebody else. And he put me back the same one again. He tells me, you have to talk to your representative. That's what I got out of it. My question is, I got a pen, and who can I talk to, a human being? Number one, who goes around picking out this one and that one, and who decides I'm going to pay that money? I just wonder who that is that does that.
We're going to get you an answer, but I don't want to interrupt your time.
Anyway, I know. But the question is, I got anybody here has a number I can call?
We will get you a number, but
Okay, I'll be out of here a little bit. But I was another place in another city, 2,700 square feet. Both levels of they're all fixed up. $3,900. It went down $5. Who's going around doing these things? 2,700 foot house, and I'm paying 1,000 foot. And the person says, "What?" So that's all I want to know. Who do I call? I don't want to have this runaround crap. I want to come home. I got a 100-foot measuring tape. Will measure my house for this individual and tell him how many square feet are in it. That's it. But I got to have a number. Who's doing this? I got a number to call this individual. Come over to my house and measure it. Okay?
thank you very much. Next, we have Ron Erickson. Good evening and welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, I've been a Maplewood resident for 48 years now. Never attended one of these budget meetings before, or these hearings, but I'm really disappointed. I realize it's almost cut and dried and it's almost over with when you're trying to tweak it at these levels of 7 or 8%. Many of us get 2.8% raises, our Social Security, and that's what we have. But here, my valuation by Ramsey County went up 6%, and my taxes for the Maplewood share are going up 13.2%. I wish you could limit your increases to the cost of living like we live with. I talked to Michael Sable before. I mentioned one thing that was pretty disappointing to me, but the Village's apartment on Frost, I looked back at the taxes. In the last 5 years, it's been valued at $8.6 million, just about steady. It's never gone up in value. The taxes 5 years ago were $104,000. This year, $58,000. That is disgusting, and I realize that it's not. He pointed out that it's the legislature in 23, when the Democrats were in control, they changed this so that they could get their reductions. But these reductions have been going on for 5 years, and it's not fair. And you've got all these new buildings, like the Coretta building on White Bear and County Road C, that senior building. They're paying over $101,000 now. You're getting all this new taxes, and I realize there's a delay, but I would think that your spending is too much, and you got to tighten your belt. That's all I have to say. I'm not happy. You're spending too much money. Tighten your belt. Reduce the services if you have to. But you got to get the spending down.
Thank you. Ma Yang. Good evening and welcome.
Excuse me.
Sure.
Cú bia mình chỉ được có hàng cái xe nhớ rằng nó chỉ là một bên nào thì được có na bên nào thì được có hai lũ nó chỉ có một lũ đó chỉ là có hai tổ bên nào thì được bên có nó lại họ có nhớ rằng nó
Okay. Myself, I complain about my property tax so high, you know. So I want my property tax reduced, you know. That's all.
Anything else you'd like to say?
No, that's it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Michael Smith.
Hello.
Good evening and welcome.
I think the consensus is pretty much the same. Everybody so far, including myself, we're probably banging the same drum. I would like to know, it seems like we got to deal with Ramsey County for some of this stuff, so we will go back to them. But I do have a question as to why, when they put this assessment on the door and we contact them, there's no answer. I mean, you know, they want us to revert to email, I guess, and they come up with this value, and I don't know where they're plugging these numbers from. And I agree with the last gentleman, or the previous gentleman before the last. Why isn't it, you know, done on a case-by-case basis? It just seems like this is, you know, way too high. Something I don't see on there, but the gentleman presented in his presentation, was the roads. I don't know if anybody else made the observation, but a couple years back, the roads were sealed and lines painted. And with a matter of, before the summer was over, all the paint was gone. So, I mean, that's money just thrown away. So you're talking about taxing people whose houses are modest at best to get more money, but then that money is being utilized on services that are basically just thrown away. Because that's insane that the lines were painted on Hazelwood and they were gone, and before the summer was done. I mean, there was paint on the sidewalks and everywhere. I mean, that should be pretty obvious. And if that's done all over Maplewood, I mean, you need to look at your contractors or whoever you're working with, because you're just pissing money away. That's all I have to say. And I would agree with the previous people. I mean, I'm not happy. I mean, this is just insane. I mean, I'm planning on retiring, and my income will probably be fixed in the near future. And it's not, I mean, the rates of your information is going, or I mean, the cost of the taxes are going up, and they're not comparable with the cost of living increases. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Gabby Klaus? Oh, okay. Tara House?
Hello, it was Tierra House.
Tierra,
the
sorry.
pen was scratching up. And it was me and my mom. This is my first time ever attending anything like this. I didn't even know I was signing up to speak, so I guess I have to speak now. So we are first generation homeowners. This just made a year the other day of living. Our first time owning our home with me and my mom. I'm pretty much the sole provider, and it almost feels like, to me, it's almost like post-redlining. That's how I consider looking at these property taxes, because with our cost of living and what the increase will be, it's almost going to force me to not own a home. And this is something that we have dreamed about all these years, especially being the first person in our family to own a home. It's really discouraging. I'm trying to look at all these numbers and look at things of like, what can we reduce and, what can we take away so that we can still be comfortable, that we can still live the American dream. And it almost seems like a nightmare at this point, because it's putting us in a position that it's like, are we able to afford this? Should we just go back to renting? And it's not comfortable, and I'm learning a lot with just this meeting tonight of listening to all these numbers. And I think as an African-American female as well, I'm just like overstimulated right now with listening to all these things, because this is something that I never heard about, never been to any of these meetings to know any of this that's going on. I consider myself very intelligent, and I'm just in this room like, oh my God, like I did not know that all these things be going on. So it was very knowledgeable tonight, and I just hope that we look at equity and not equality, because those are two different things when we looking at meeting people where they are at, and not the equality rules. So it's something that I'm learning, and I think that it's something that should be brought to light when we are looking at these type of increases and how it affects the individuals and meeting them where they are at, and not just the whole thing. So I appreciate you guys' time.
Thank you. Constance House?
She was with me.
Oh, okay. Okay. And Keith Brown?
Hello, everybody. Well, I've been in Maplewood for over 60 years. I have a house on Lake Jarvis, and lake taxes are outrageous. Right now, my taxes are up almost 12 grand a year, about $1,000 a month. I have probably one of the smallest houses on the lake, 1,700 square feet. So it just kind of shows, I just question where we're going with all this. I went to Ramsey County, and I also talked there, and then when you look at this proposed tax bill, everything goes up. It's continuous. It's unsustainable. I just don't understand. I talked to a lot of people on the lake. I have, like I say, one of the smaller houses. And I know there's people paying $16,000, $20,000, $25,000. Last year we had about 8 houses sell, and I think what happened is they said, that's it, I can't take it anymore. So this year I've seen at least 4 or 5, maybe there's a lot I haven't seen, but It's just unbelievable. I had an assessor out to check my house because I felt the value was too high. And he did lower it. He lowered it, but he says, by the way, he says, I can lower your value, but your taxes can go up. And of course, they did. My taxes went up. My value went down this year, but my taxes went up. So it's crazy. How much do we, and maybe you can't answer this, but is Maplewood work separately from Ramsey County? And also a question I have is, everybody's coming to the tax rolls. Everybody needs this and I need that. Do we look at privatization on anything? And just say, we can't do this anymore. We can't just continue to, if somebody needs something, we got to tax them. We got to tax them. So, got 45 seconds here. I appreciate you looking at shrinking the budget. I do, or at least looking at opportunities too. I think that's important. I was down in Arizona this spring. They don't tax me on they have no state taxes, they have no pension taxes, and they have no Social Security tax. So I realize we operate differently here in this state, but maybe we'll move. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else who would like to speak at the public hearing? Do you want to come up? When you're done speaking, I'll ask you to sign that.
For sure.
And put your address there.
I didn't plan to speak, but since I'm here, I might as well put my voice into. I appreciate the comments from the other folks here. Same thing with me. We've been in our house for 26 years.
Can you tell us your name?
Oh, Shannon Siedenberg.
Okay.
Yeah, taxes go up every year, of course, 13% this year. I mean, I can't say anything better than what these guys said. It's getting out of control. I do appreciate you trying to find cuts. 173,000, that's a drop in the bucket, really, when it comes down to it. But some of the slides you had spoke volumes about, Maplewood had the lower median home values, but the highest taxes. Where does it end?
Actually, that was Ramsey County, not Maplewood.
Okay.
Okay.
But it still affects us as the homeowners. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you want to sign this, please? Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak at the public hearing? Joe Schmo, right?
I just want to thank the police department and all the police officers, what they do. I just want to thank all the police officers that are police officers, and thank you for them.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay.
I'm hearing impaired, so I pretty much missed a whole meeting today. But
What is your
I want to
name?
ask, what would you charge somebody that has a 668 square foot home?
Just wait 1 second. Can you tell me your name, please?
Michelle Davis,
Okay.
DAVIS.
Okay.
I have a 668 square home. Had an assessor come through a few years ago because I'm paying more money than everybody on my block. You know what their excuse was? Well, all these other homes are selling for higher price. I said, doesn't matter. The guy across the street and the guy 5 houses down is paying less than I. So they lowered my taxes. You know what my taxes are percentage-wise today? 23.35% higher. How does that work on a 668 square foot home? You know, my mobile home has 400 square feet and I don't quite pay that much. Do you understand? I don't understand. My house is this big. That lady took 10 steps into my house. That is as long as, my truck is bigger than my house. It's longer than my house. And I'm paying $3,400, $3,392 this year. It went from 27 something. How can you, I want to know how does this match? This poor guy's got a 1,000 square foot home. I'd like to live in that, but not for what he's paying. But I just want to know how they come up with numbers like this. 23.35 in 1 year. And then they lowered the homestead exclusion, 3,000. Not quite figuring this one out yet, but I'll work at it. I'll call the assessor and see if they can walk that 10 feet through my house and lower it again. Thank you.
Michelle, would you do me a favor and sign in here, please, with your address, too? Thank you. Anyone else who would like to speak at the public hearing? Okay, I don't see anyone else. The public hearing is now closed. I wrote down some of the questions I think that people had, and we'll go back over those. I want to make sure that everyone gets their, gets answers. The first question, thank you.
Still want to know what the crime rate is in my neighborhood. I asked you about 2 years ago.
The first question was about appraisals, and I don't know which staff member wants to take that. I can tell you that Maplewood does not do any appraisals of any homes. That is not our role, responsibility. We have no power to do that. Who can, from staff, maybe Mr. Saber?
Well, thank you, Mayor. What I'm going to do is if it's related to Ramsey County Assessor, I'm going to have Finance Director Joe Rube answer those questions because he has the most contact with that staff and then can probably identify individual staff members at the office. So I'll turn it over to Joe, if that's okay.
And one thing I want to make sure is that, Joe, on that, the slide that you had, did you have the contact information? I'm rather disturbed by the fact that our residents are calling Ramsey County and not getting any calls back. That is very disturbing. So, Mr. Rube, do you want to explain the appraisal process? It's all Ramsey County doing it. But I want to make sure people have a number and one of our staff people that maybe can follow up so that we can, I don't know how you want to work that with staff, but you're going to get a phone number for Ramsey County, and you're going to get one of our staff people that then, if you don't get a call back from Ramsey County, our staff can step in and can help you with that. That's very disturbing to me. Mr. Rube, do you want to explain?
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. The Ramsey County Assessor is Patrick Chapman. And the phone number that Ramsey County provides for him is 651-266-2131. And I believe we should be able to put that out onto our budget website as well for the city. So it's an easy contact and link to Ramsey County's site with that information. That should be pretty easy for us to do. So we can definitely do that. So as previously mentioned, Ramsey County is, that is their duty, their responsibility to assess all the properties. So they maintain all the property field records for the properties, the estimated values, the classifications of the property. They gather all data that's necessary to come up with those valuations. As mentioned, this is something that the city does not hold any of that information, unfortunately, because it is frustrating that to find out we can't necessarily help completely because we don't have the answers and they're not responding. So I definitely will be a contact, and I will reach out to them and find out what we need to do to make sure that you all get your answers to the questions that you have. And one of the previous slides, and they'll probably show this as well, is the shift from the decrease in apartments. And I think, Mr. Erickson, you might have mentioned it, that the price of apartments or the taxes on apartments was quite a bit lower. They have seen over the last several years a reduction in the valuation of apartments. I'm not sure how they come to that determination, but ultimately, if they are reducing it, especially significantly, that takes that, if it's going from $100,000 down to $50,000 of a tax burden, it's taking that and shifting it over to the residents, ultimately increasing their property taxes. and that's all information that the county provided, is that their values for the commercial, the values for apartments have decreased, shifting that over to the residential. And then I'd be happy to, I don't have my business card on me right now, but after this portion, I'd be happy to run back and grab some, and I can hand those out as well, out in the lobby if you'd like, and then you could have direct contact with me, and then I can reach out and help you out.
Mayor?
Thank you very much for that. It's, did everyone get the number for Ramsey County? Okay. Do you want to give that one more time slowly, Mr. Rube? And then Mr. Rube is going to be the contact person with business cards, so that if you are not getting callback from Ramsey County, you can call Joe Rube, and he will intervene. That's very disturbing to me that the county is not calling people back.
Well, it seems like, I mean, they have a very similar number. The last two digits are different. They did have that. I contacted that individual, never got a call back. They do opt that, a circle that you can email him. Basically, it seems like they just want to offload that if you email them if there have been any changes or not. But I mean, if I place a call to them, I expect a call back. That's only common courtesy. I mean, I understand when COVID was, I mean, I've called here and didn't get callbacks or whatever, but that's understandable. But this is unacceptable in this, I mean, we're past COVID at this point.
So what we're going to do, Mr. Rube, I'm trying to figure out a way, well, we still have business to do with the council. But we have to continue to discuss this. I just want to make sure that you've got the phone number for Ramsey County, you've got Joe Rube's number, and I'm going to suggest also that you have a county board representative. The one for the majority of Maplewood is Kelly Miller. She is a county commissioner that she's elected by all of us to be a county board commissioner, and you can certainly go on the county website and get Kelly Miller's phone number, and if you're having problems getting callbacks, you can contact Kelly Miller as well, because I think that's going to be critical. I can tell you I will be calling Kelly Miller myself and sharing with her some of your concerns about not getting callbacks, because that shouldn't be happening. Mr. Rube, did you want to say something else?
I was just going to, you asked me to.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Mary. The Ramsey County Assessor is Patrick Chapman, CHAPMAN, and the phone number is 651-266-2131.
That's the people that called. I called them. This assessor you're talking about. He gave me to somebody else to talk about. He should be back to the same guy. He says, call your representative. That's all I got out of him.
I have an answer.
Okay.
I dealt with them, they were
So
shorthanded.
that's what I was saying
They had
before.
let
Who do you
some
call
people
to get some
They
answers?
were very shorthanded. That was in the summer.
Mayor?
Okay, Councilmember Juniman.
I have an assessor story too, so that you don't think you're alone. If they answer the phone, you may get juggled around as you have been. Or you will get someone who politely tells you, when you say, I have not seen an assessor, how come my taxable value went up this much? She proceeded to tell me it was in my house, which was inaccurate. She told me I had a completely finished basement, and I don't. And I have 2 fireplaces, and I don't. So I said, where did you get this information? And she said, oh, well, we often do just a drive-by assessment. And she was dead serious. I happen to have a Rambler with a long chimney, and it had 2 flues. One used to be an incinerator, and it's now plugged up. But that was the second fireplace, accordingly, and they would not change it. I invited her to have somebody come out. We don't have time.
That is a Kelly Miller issue, to call your representative if assessors are not coming out and doing appraisals. Let's see, other questions? There was a question, Mr. Love, about Hazelwood and the roads and paint on Hazelwood. Are you familiar with that?
Yes, Mayor and Council. So that particular thing was an issue with the application where it did not bond with the pavement, and we did have the contractor go back out there and do that. Typically, we repaint about half of our city streets once every other year. So it was kind of more of a one-off occasion there.
Okay, thank you for that. Mr. Rube, I know one of the questions that came up, Maplewood is only one of the places where where we're collecting taxes. Can you pull up the pie chart, I think that you've got on there, that shows the county, the special districts, the school district? Because all of that, those taxes are included in your taxes. There. Do you want to explain that again? Because the tax bill that you're looking at does not, all of the money does not come to Maplewood. So do you want to explain the other, and including the special districts too?
Yes. Thank you, Mayor and Council. So it is divided up into 4 different categories: the city, county, schools, as well as the special districts, which would be like Met Council, mosquito control, regional rail, and housing and watershed. So if you're not familiar with it, and I'd be happy to if there's individuals that have questions on it, whether it's over the phone or in person, we can pull up and take a look at your property tax statement. The first one, I have an example here for myself. It has Ramsey County first broken out, and then Maplewood, the general, state general tax, which this one doesn't have anything, the school districts, and then some of the other special districts. So each portion of it is broken out. It should show you the prior year to current year. There are multiple different areas. We have no control over the county, school, or special districts. We are strictly only able to take care of our own budget, set our own levy, and then we forward that on to the county where they disperse it out. They do have listed on here the tax meetings for all different categories. On the 11th, which I believe is Thursday at 6 p.m., is the Ramsey County meeting. That's very similar to this, where they have to go through the same process. And then the school district, at least for 622, is December 16th at 6 p.m. I'm not sure.
Thank you. So Ramsey County is having their hearings just like we have ours tonight. Ramsey County hearings are on Thursday. The location is?
Thank you, Mayor. The in-person location is St. Paul City Hall, Ramsey County Courthouse at 15 West Kellogg Boulevard in St. Paul.
And is it at 6 o'clock that they start?
That's correct.
Okay, so some of these issues concerning Ramsey County, you can certainly bring it before the commissioners. We hear you, and I can tell you that as a sitting council member and serving as the mayor, this is one of the most difficult things that we do, because this doesn't just impact you, it impacts us as well. And it is a very challenging role that we have to play. Councilmember Lee, do you have something you wanted to add?
Yes, I did. I just wanted to make a quick comment that I am just as surprised when I see those bills every year when I open them up too on my end. So I feel you and I hear you. But one thing that, Joe, if you can, I think ambulance fund is always one that not a lot of people know about in our city. You know, that accounts for a huge chunk of what our levy is. Can you just share a little bit more about what the ambulance fund is for our constituents and our residents here tonight, and why that's an important component in our levy?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The ambulance fund is its own separate fund. So we have the general fund that operates almost every area of the city. The ambulance fund operates just the EMS services. In theory, if it's an enterprise fund, meaning that it should operate like a business. So the revenues and expenditures should offset themselves. However, with the cost of wages, supplies, equipment. When we're looking at ambulances that used to be $200,000 that are in the mid to high $300,000 range, fire trucks that used to be $800,000 are now $1.5–2 million. Fire trucks are a separate area, but just pointing out the cost increases with some of those things. Just to operate the ambulances, to have the technology, the equipment, and the staff to respond back to our residents and others in the community is very expensive. In order to meet, have the highest expectations to make sure that we are helping those that are in need, we do need quite a few staff members. We used to have things paid per call or part-time. Now we're at a full-time staffing model, and we have been for years, and it's just adding to it. We do have quite a few claims and calls for services, and I can't necessarily speak to that exactly. However, with the expenses increasing so significantly and our revenues aren't necessarily increasing at the same rate, there is an offset there, which we have been using and started using a tax levy for to offset that.
I've just asked Mr. Sable if he'll explain a little bit more. The ambulance fund accounts for $734,464 in an increase, all right? And Mr. Sable can explain, this is not a unique problem for Maplewood. This is something that is shared amongst a lot of different cities, not only in the metro area, but in outstate Minnesota as well. Do you want to explain the ambulance fund and why we are all paying so much more for the ambulance fund?
Thanks, Mayor and council members. So Maplewood runs fire and EMS together. So you see our ambulances have our name on it, and other places use Alina, or they use other kinds of private ambulance services. When we show up at your house, and if we transport you to the hospital and you have private insurance, we bill you for the full cost of the trip. We call it a trip. It's a transportation. And so the transport, it costs us about $2,200 to go out on an ambulance call. That accounts for the salaries of the 2 paramedics. That accounts for the cost of the rig. That accounts for the cost of the stations. So it's all of that built-in costs us $2,200 per call. The federal government, if you're on Medicare or Medicaid, pays us on average about $580 in payment. And that's their fixed cost. It was a cost that was set in the Clinton era when Bill Clinton was president, was the day that they set that rate. They haven't changed it in that many years. And so every time we go on a call for someone who is on Medicaid or on Medicare, we are in essence losing $1,600. And that's a subsidy that Maplewood residents pay and fill that gap, because we also have some of the fastest response times in the metro area. We set a target and try to meet that every year to be fast, efficient, high-quality service. And that's a cost that has shifted over time from the federal government right down to the local level. And we know that it's one of the services that people want when they pick up 911. They want a high-quality call. And unfortunately, over the past 20-plus years, that cost has actually shifted to the locals. And what we're trying to do is the ambulance fund, as it's described, had been going into negative amounts. And what we're trying to do is just be really upfront and say, this is a service that we're providing. It's something that's valued. And so we have, over the course of about 3 years, tried to make sure that, to solve for that gap. And not do it all at once, but recognize that it has to be fixed eventually. And so we have been slowly and methodically working to solve the ambulance fund problem, and that's how we've described it. It's something that we didn't create, but we're trying to manage well. And so we recognize that it's hard to ask for these increases, but it's also something that we don't know a way out of it, because our cost for service is actually just a little bit better than what you would see in the private sector. And to the gentleman who asked the question about privatization, it is something we talk about regularly all the time, because we know that if somebody else can do it better than we can, we would rather have them do it if they can do it better, faster, and cheaper. With regard to the ambulance service, we haven't found anybody that can do it better, faster, and cheaper than us. But I appreciate that comment.
And it's unfortunate until the federal government increases the reimbursement rates. we, as residents, are underwriting the cost to run an ambulance service. That's the way it is. And I know that a number of people have tried to make it known that this is creating a problem, but this is a federal government issue, and unfortunately, we're picking up the tab. All of us in this room that live in Maplewood are picking up the tab for that, and that's true in many other cities as well. So, I don't see that there are any other questions that I kind of went over my notes. Anything else that any staff member wrote down that we haven't necessarily addressed? Mr. Sable?
Thanks, Mayor and Councilmember. I think I heard several comments about understanding the assessment process and how does the county assessor make that determination. And so I'm happy to stick around after the meeting if you want to walk through. And I've got the Ramsey County website up where you can look up each parcel and see what the value is and see how it's changed. And then talk through some potential options if you're wanting to appeal or change your assessment value. Ms. Davis, I looked up your property, it went up $35,000 in 1 year. That's a huge jump in value that I don't know. I don't have any authority to say if that's the right number or the wrong number, but it did seem to me that the value went up a lot, and I saw your taxes at 23.3%, also significant jumps, and I think those are. I'm happy to walk through kind of what I know, what I can explain from the county side, and also then explain when we talk about increases to the city budget, I can explain those too, and I'm happy to stick around for anybody that wants to talk about, and I have a map of each one, so I can help where I can.
Thank you. Council members, we have some motions. We also are under guidelines from the state of Minnesota. This is our very last council meeting of the year, and so we need to adopt our levy increase because the state statute says that we need to do that. Council members, we are back at the question about the reduction and whether or not that's something that we want to do. Joe, can you pull up that slide? Councilmember Cave, you had something you wanted to say?
Exactly what you're talking about.
Okay. This particular slide indicates that there are some ways that we could at least get this down into the 7% range. I mean, it's close to 8, but still, it's a reduction. Council members, we have, the first motion is to approve the resolution adopting the budget and financial policies. Mr. Sable, in terms of if the council were inclined to go for this reduction and give staff the opportunity to make the numbers work, and then obviously come back and report it to council. But if we were inclined to reduce it by 0.5%, what would the motion have to look like?
Thank you, Mayor and council members. I'm going to look at Mr. Beatty for this, just a clarification as a good city attorney, but I think the correct way to make the motion would be to make the motion approving the levy at the number with which you would want to say that. So if it were, if you were to say, motion to approve the resolution adopting the budget and financial policies, okay, that would be good. And then it would be on item D, you would do motion to approve the resolution certifying property taxes payable in 2026 not to exceed a levy increase of 7.94%. Would that be acceptable language?
Yes, Madam Mayor and Council, that's the way to do it.
So we would be modifying D. Okay, thank you. So, council members, would someone like to make that first motion? We're at B. No changes to that, but would someone like to make that motion?
Motion to approve the resolution adopting the budget and financial policies for 2026 and the capital improvement plan for 2026 through 2030.
Second.
Moved by Cave, seconded by Juniman. The motion B, as written in our packet, Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Next is motion C. Would someone like to make that motion?
The resolution adopting the EDA budget for 2026.
Second.
Moved by Juniman, seconded by Lee. Motion C as written in our packet. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Next, we have D, the motion that we just talked about that Mr. Sable and Mr. Beatty concurred on. Would someone like to make that motion?
Motion to approve the resolution certifying property taxes payable in 2026 not to exceed a levy of 7.94%.
Second.
By Lee, seconded by, I heard Cave first. The motion D. City Clerk Sin, did you get that? Okay, thank you very much. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. And we have finally motion E. Would someone like to make that?
Motion to approve the resolution certifying EDA property taxes payable in 2026.
Second.
Moved by Lee, seconded by Juniman. Motion E as written in our packet. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. So, council members, we have reduced our levy increase to 7.94%. Thank you for the discussion. I want to thank all of our residents for being here. Mr. Rube will be outside. He can chat with you about, answer any more of your questions. Thank you all for coming. You have been heard, and this really matters. So thank you very much for coming. Mr. Sable will also join you out there as well.
Do you need your iPad?
Moving on, we have some new business. We have new business, Horizon Real Estate, located on Jarvis Court.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council.
Could we ask you to please step outside? We still have some business to take care of. Could you please step outside, ma'am? Thank you. Thank you. We have more business that we have to take care of. Ms. Parr, this is your topic on Horizon Real Estate.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council. So this item before you this evening is in relation to motor vehicle sales. This is a property at 1790 Jarvis Court East, as you can see in the bold red line around it there. It's just over 2 acres in size. Right now, if you went to that site, you would find Horizon Tire and Auto. They operate there and have for quite some time. They do largely motor vehicle and maintenance at that site. As a part of this proposal, they're asking for a conditional use permit. When they came to be, there was not a requirement for a conditional use permit, and as a part of the auto sales piece, they need a setback variance. So those are the 2 items we're going to talk to you about this evening. As far as our comp plan, I will just say that the land use meets the intent for employment in relation to the comp plan. When it comes to the zoning, it is zoned M1, light manufacturing, as you can see there. Vehicle sales, which does not take place on the site currently, that's what they're asking for. It is permitted as in an M1. The vehicle repair, which currently has existed on the site for quite a while, requires a CUP as well as the outdoor storage. So that's what the CUP is in regards to. Code requires that vehicle sales and repair to be 350 feet from the property anytime city has residential uses adjacent to it. In this case, the property contains, and I think actually I have a better slide to show this. Yeah, you can see it on this one pretty good. The property has a large undeveloped area to the north, as you can see there. and that is the most adjacent area to the residential. So it has about 66 to 165 feet measured at its closest point from the property boundary